Welcome to Skunks TV. We're your hosts, Matt and Alyssa, and today we're going to be interviewing with Jonathan and Alli Fiery of NewFire. They've actually traveled with some of CCM's biggest artists, including 33 Miles, Pocket Full of Rocks, By the Tree. And so we're going to be hanging out with them and just finding about their music and some of the struggles they've gone through.
Hey, this is Ron. He's a certified securities officer, he's been a prison guard, and he's been in the field for a long time. He's going to apply pepper spray to all the dudes today.
Hey, this is Jonathan Fiery from NewFire, and this is my story. I was raised in church, raised in a musical family, always loved music, loved God, loved church, loved to be involved. Played guitar from a young age and kind of just came up in this really great musical home and played at church growing up and on the worship team. And I was about 17 years old, and I attended a concert with a guy named Dennis Jernigan, a praise and worship writer. And that night I felt God really call me out and just say, this is what you're going to do. You're going to use your gifts and your musical abilities for me. And so I embraced it that night and began to kind of chase this whole ministry music, just whole idea of it. I just jumped right into it. Moved to Nashville, spent some time there just to kind of get my feet wet. I met my wife in Oklahoma. Actually, I was home from a trip, just kind of hanging out. Some friends introduced us, and about that time I got a call to play with a group called FFH, and so I went out back to Nashville and traveled with them, and Allison and I dated long distance for a couple years and finally got married, finally got to move into the same state, and we didn't have to date long distance anymore. And a couple years into that we decided to take a break from FFH and actually moved back home to Tulsa, where I'm from, and began to sing together just around the house, and we would lead worship with some friends at their church. And we just thought, you know, we have a real heart to do this, and we love singing, and I love playing the guitar, so why not maybe sing together? So we began to sing together and write our own music and start traveling a little bit, and NewFire was kind of born, and that's what we do. We travel around and we sing our songs for people, and we encourage people, and we worship the Lord with our gifts, and that's my story.
Hi, my name is Alli Fiery from the band NewFire, and this is my story. When I was 18, I went to college to do musical theater and dance, and I traveled around the country professionally doing that for several years until I met my husband, Jonathan, and I slowly felt God kind of pulling me out of theater. And to be honest, I was really disappointed at the time because it was my first love, and I didn't understand why He didn't want that to be part of my story anymore. But I married my husband, and I followed him to Nashville so he could do music and ministry, and for a while I just sat in the fact that my job was to be his helpmate, and through time he began to open up opportunities for Jonathan and I to sing together, and that has formed the band NewFire. So I'm so grateful that I trusted God's plan, because He brought me a wonderful husband and then gave me music back in a whole different way, and it's even better because it's for His kingdom now. So that's my story.
Hey everyone, we're here with Jonathan and Alli Fiery from NewFire, and you guys get to tour the whole country performing, and I think that is so fun. But I want to know, as a married couple, what is it like to travel together?
Oh man, it depends. It's a blessing and a curse. You know, it's hard being on the road. It's hard keeping a band on the road, and we're in ministry, so we kind of just go on faith, and gas money gets kind of short, and so that aspect of it gets a little hard. But I traveled by myself for a long time, and so it's great to get to travel with her, and we can actually be together and be out on the road together.
Right, and you actually used to travel with FFH, and you're still doing some of that now, right, as I understand? So.
Right, I've been with FFH for about 6 years, and we took about a 2-year break, just took a sabbatical a while back, and during that time we started to sing together. NewFire started to grow and form, and so now we do both. I still travel with FFH as much as possible, and we do our NewFire NewFire thing as well, and we just keep both things going.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I think it's great that, you know, they allow you to have your own group while being in their group at the same time. You know, I just think that's really that's true love, you know.
They're so supportive of us, and we
That's
couldn't
really
ask
cool.
for better employers and friends.
Yeah.
You know.
That's really
That's good.
cool.
So you guys came out with a CD, NewFire. Tell me about the awesomeness of this CD. So.
It is pretty awesome. You know, I grew up playing bluegrass gospel music and folk music, and my parents raised me on James Taylor and John Denver and some of that, and
Sure.
she grew up doing musical theater, and so we kind of took both of those styles and just stuck them together and started writing music on our own, and we write music with some friends of ours, and so I think last summer we made a record, and it was our first national release as NewFire, and so now we travel around singing those songs for people, and we're really
We're
proud of
working
the
on
album.
a new one right now, so we're hoping by summer to have a project finished.
Yeah.
Okay, that is great. So a lot of the bluegrass and different things like that feed into the album. And,
It does,
yeah.
and it's evolved, it's grown,
Yeah.
you know. We're kind of a little more kind of pop, folky, acoustic style now. It just kind of changes and grows as we
Right.
grow, and so there's no telling what we're going to put out next.
Now, you guys went from the big concert scene to now kind of going into more churches. Can you explain the move from that?
Well, I think we personally feel called more to the church setting. We love doing the concerts. This past summer we toured with Aaron Schust and 33 Miles, and it was so fun. Those guys were great, and we need Christian entertainment. But personally, we feel probably that we work best in the context of a church setting, because NewFire's kind of mission statement is to bring hope and healing to the people that are already in churches. We of course want to reach people that don't know God, but we think there are a lot of hurting people within church that we just want to kind of bring hope to.
We love to lead praise and worship and do worship music. That's kind of where I got started growing up in church. So we do have a heart to minister to church people.
No, that is great. That's great. You know, we were talking before, and so many people, even though they're hurting and they're in pain in church, we have a tendency to kind of mask that. And so how do you kind of feel that your music breaks that down? Does that do that for people? You feel like that's kind of your goal, is to use that music and break that wall down a little bit?
You know, I think so. And like I said, I was raised in church. We were both raised in church. So we really understand, you know, kind of the struggles and the issues that we face as believers. And it's not always easy to be a believer, especially when your life kind of becomes out of control and things happen that don't quite add up or make sense. And you look around and you try to find God in those moments and in those hardships. And so we understand what that means, and we walk through some of that in our own lives. And so we just want to be an encouragement to the Christians and to the believers that are in those times and that are afraid to share what they're feeling and are afraid to show their hurt. And just let them know it's all right, and we're kind of all in the same boat. You know, we all struggle from time to time.
That's an awesome message. And, you know, we have to cut to a music video right now, but when we come back, everybody, I want you guys to stay tuned, because we're going to be discussing with them more about being open with their struggles and being open with God. So don't go anywhere.